A federal judge has made a critical decision. It impacts some of the most vulnerable people arriving at the United States border. Judge Sparkle Suknanan of the United States District Court for the District of Columbia issued an emergency order. This order temporarily stops the United States government from deporting unaccompanied children back to Guatemala. The decision came late on a Friday, setting the stage for an urgent legal showdown. It provides a moment of relief for children who traveled to the United States alone, seeking safety and a better life. Their futures, once hanging by a thread, are now the subject of intense court scrutiny. The initial request for help came from a group of dedicated legal advocates. The National Immigration Law Center. Other rights organizations filed a petition. They were representing 10 specific children from Guatemala. These children, ranging in age from 10 to 17, had arrived without their parents or any legal guardians. The lawyers argued the minors were in immediate danger of being deported. The government was planning to put them on flights back to Guatemala without giving them a fair chance to seek protection under United States law, a right they are supposed to have. This legal action was a race against time. Attorneys told the court the government was preparing to deport these minors imminently. They presented evidence flights were being scheduled, and the children could be sent back to the very dangers they had fled. The emergency order was essential to prevent what advocates called irreparable harm. Judge Suknanan recognized the urgency. Her decision paused the deportation process for these 10 children, giving the court time to hear full arguments and examine the legality. The case highlighted a major conflict in immigration policy. On one side, laws designed to protect vulnerable children, and protecting the children at the center of the dispute. On the other side, the administration's policy of swift deportations, often justified by public health concerns or border management strategies. Specifically, they point to the Trafficking Victims Protection Reauthorization Act. This law provides special protections for unaccompanied children, granting them the right to a full immigration hearing and the opportunity to apply for asylum. They say the government is illegally bypassing a system Congress created specifically to keep vulnerable young people from being sent back into harm's way. Furthermore, the risks these children face if returned to Guatemala are severe and life-threatening. Lawyers and human rights groups have documented the dangers extensively. Many of these children are fleeing powerful street gangs that engage in recruitment extortion violence. Others are escaping domestic abuse, extreme poverty that leaves them vulnerable to exploitation. Sending them back, advocates argue, would be returning them to the very trauma they tried to escape. For some, deportation could be a death sentence, as gangs often target those who have been returned from the United States. Adding another dimension to the situation is the position of the Guatemalan government. In a public statement, Guatemala's foreign minister indicated that the country is prepared to receive the children. He stated that they have protocols in place to ensure the children are reunited with their families upon their return. While this may sound cooperative, immigration advocates are skeptical. They question whether the Guatemalan government has the resources or the ability to truly protect these children from the gangs and other dangers that await them, especially in rural and impoverished areas where state protection is often weak. Ultimately, this case could set an important precedent for how the U.S. treats unaccompanied children at its borders. The outcome will determine whether the government must follow specific protections Congress established, or whether it can prioritize rapid expulsions. The case has cast a bright spotlight on the tension between immigration enforcement and humanitarian protection. The immediate future for these Guatemalan children hinges on the next steps in the legal process. The temporary restraining order provides a short-term shield. It is not a permanent solution. The next major event is a court hearing. Both sides will present their arguments in detail. Judge Suknanan must decide whether to issue a preliminary injunction. That injunction would extend the ban on deportations for a much longer period. The case would continue while that injunction stays in place. The government will argue to have the order lifted. The children's lawyers will fight to keep it in place. This sets the stage for a critical judicial ruling. If the judge rules for the children and extends the order, the impact could be far-reaching. It would affirm that the legal rights of unaccompanied minors can't be set aside. Hundreds of children could remain in the United States. Their cases for asylum would be heard in immigration court. They could seek other protections as well. That process can take months, or even years. If the judge sides with the government and lifts the order, deportations could resume almost immediately. That would place children back in the precarious position they were in before the lawsuit. For the children, this period is one of profound uncertainty. They remain in government custody in shelters across the country. They are caught between the hope of staying in the United States and the fear of being sent back to Guatemala. They are far from home, separated from their families, now at the center of a high-stakes legal battle, one they likely do not fully understand. Their physical and emotional well-being is a major concern for advocates. Advocates are providing legal counsel. The next chapter, written in a federal courtroom, will have life-altering consequences for the children waiting in the balance.